What's good, everybody? So, I know you've seen the title, I know you've seen the thumbnail, and you're ready to clown me, alright? But I need to make this video because I've seen way too much disrespect on this man's name recently. After his loss to Islam, after his loss to Protest, people are disregarding who is essentially a former champion with the best boxing in the division, a guy who just has the skills to go back to the belt. He's gonna challenge for the belt at some point. Listen, I'm not his biggest fan, but I just feel like these guys, like, they're putting this guy in fucking matchups, talking about he's gonna lose to Buckley, he's gonna lose to fucking Usman. You guys have no idea what you're fucking talking about. The UFC, MMA, boxing, it's all about styles. Styles make fights. And this guy has a style to beat most, if not all, of the welterweight division. Alright? Aside from the guys he's already lost to. So I've made this video because I think we gotta talk about how JDM only loses to the best of the best. He's lost to the best wrestler, he's lost to the best striker, and I don't see him losing to nobody else, alright? So let's get right into it. We're going to go over his matchups with the whole welterweight division, his matchups in his losses, his matchups in the fights that he might win, and we're going to talk about what happens, alright? Starting off with his losses. The whole video, like the reason behind this video, is to talk about this guy lost to literally the peak of the sport, especially the peak of the welterweight division, and how that compares to the rest of the division, alright? Islam versus JDM. This was essentially JDM going against what is probably the GOAT of the sport. At this point, like, who are we talking about active that's better than Islam Makhachev all time? Some motherfucker's gonna argue Ilia Topuria. I'm fucking Spanish. I don't think Ilia Topuria is better than Islam Makhachev all time. Not yet, at least, right? This is Islam Makhachev 15-fight win streak coming off the Renato Moicano win, coming off of the Dustin Poirier war. Probably the strongest fighter in welterweight, like physically strongest, best submission threat. You know, Yaroslav Amosov's in there in the conversation. Really good striking on the feet. Best wrestling for sure. By far, you know, he's better than Belal. That's probably the guy that's in second place. And yeah, I mean, JDM, he's great. Not as good as Islam. This guy literally lost to what could be, who has potential to be the GOAT of the sport. All time GOAT of the sport. Fuck John Jones, bro. He's up there with GSP, alright? Other than Islam, we have JDM versus fucking CP, bro. JDM got caught with CP. It is what it is. We all have CP on our computers. We all love watching CP. Pure striking in the division, like the best pure striker by far in the division, has the most power, right? He's up there with Michael Morales for the most power, but this guy's really shown it. He knocked out the Leech, who's never been knocked out before. Fucking spinning elbow Jeff Neal. Charles Radke, who else? He almost knocked out Garry in the last round. That's a really good feat, really. Talking about power scaling these guys. He had an elite style to go against the boxer in JDM, because JDM boxing style, very heavy on his feet, very wide base, right? Because you need a wide base to have good head movement. That's why the Muay Thai guys have no head movement, right? The fact that CP is so long, in his legs, in his arms, he can get away with not moving his head because he literally just leans out the way of whatever you're going to throw at him. So in the JDM versus CP matchup, the leg kicks were a huge target for CP. The fucking body kicks once JDM started switching stances. It's really like a stylistically really bad matchup. I'm ashamed of myself as a predictor for not seeing how badly they matched up because, as I said, styles make fights, but I was really caught up with the JDM combinations. In my opinion, boxing combinations or striking combinations in the UFC, that can get you really far. If you have good combinations, long combinations that are like 5 punches, 6 punches, 7 punches, God forbid, right? You can get really far in the UFC because these guys don't know how to defend these punches. That's why I picked Ilia Topuria to win against Volk. That's why I picked Ilia to win against Max Holloway. These guys are used to fighting people that throw 1 punch, 2 punch, max 3 punches. They step back, lean out the way, like literally lean their head back and counter. Ilia Topuria, 1, 2, 3, right? Volk leans out of the way of the first 3, gets caught with the 4th, gets caught with the 5th, the fucking 6th punch, right? Same thing with JDM. I was really rooting for him because I know he has really beautiful combos. He has great body and head combinations. And I know CP had no head movement, but he wasn't able to get close. He wasn't able to close the distance. The kicks were way too much. And honestly, retrospectively, I know everyone's hindsight is 20/20, but this shit makes a lot of sense, right? These are the only guys I could really see JDM losing to, because then we get into the matchups with the rest of the welterweight division. We start off the jobbers, right? These guys JDM is beating, I'd pick him to win 9 out of 10 times against all of them, bro. JDM against D-Rod. Do I have to explain myself? This guy went life and death with Kevin Holland, who could have won that fight if he fucking locked in. You know, Kevin Holland, renowned unlocked-in fighter, most non-locked-in fighter in the UFC. He would get, you know, D-Rod would get pieced up by JDM. JDM versus MVP, that would be a really annoying fight. You know, the fans would probably call a robbery on that fight, even though JDM landed 3 times the strikes that MVP landed. This would go to a decision because MVP is allergic to going on the front foot, always on the back foot, always bouncing out of range, emoting as soon as he lands a fucking jab, right? Would be a really annoying fight, but JDM will win that on points easy. Now, Uros Medic, Mike Malott, Bonfim, they're a little bit more interesting matchups. Mike Malott has very similar wins to JDM. They're just not as good. You know what I mean? He's beat, you know, Gilbert Burns, he was way more washed than, you know, when JDM fought him. He's beat Kevin Holland, and yes, it was a unanimous decision versus a split. But if you watch the JDM versus Holland fight, you know that shit was not supposed to be a split decision, right? Uros Medic, this fucking guy, you know, his way to win would be on the feet via KO, but he swings so wildly that JDM will just have a fucking field day with the counters, the pull counter especially. JDM's really good at that. Gabriel Bonfim, you know, he has good subs, you know, good guillotine, good survivability, but he's not nearly sharp enough. He's not nearly good enough to get JDM with that, bro. You're not getting JDM with a fucking Von Flu choke or whatever you've been submitting people with, right? JDM defended the submissions against Islam. He's not getting submitted by fucking Gabriel Bonfim, right? Now we get on to the actual matchups, things that are actually a little bit more interesting. JDM versus Yaroslav Amosov, former Bellator champion, one of my favorite guys coming up in the UFC right now. I really fuck with Amosov. I love his front headlock chokes. His Darces and Anacondas are so beautiful to look at. This is, in my opinion, like a coughing baby. No, coughing bomb versus hydrogen baby, right? It's a little bit like it's a close matchup, but not really. I love Amosov, but he'd get cooked on the feet. We've seen on Bellator, if you can make it sloppy, if you can prevent the fight from going to the ground, Amosov's not really got that much for him, alright? Yes, he has some knockouts over the Bellator bumps. He got knocked out by fucking Jason Jackson, or whatever that guy's name is. He has like 6 losses on his record, alright? That's some bullshit. He's not the cleanest. He'd get pieced up by JDM. We've seen JDM against stronger and maybe, you know, you could argue better submission strikers, like Islam Makhachev, obviously. And he survived those matchups. He survived being on the ground. Yes, he got put in half guard for the whole fucking fight. Yes, he was just sitting there getting fucking smudged, but he didn't get submitted. And that's what you need against Yaroslav Amosov. We've seen Joel Alvarez get submitted. We've seen, you know, Neil Magny get submitted. We haven't seen JDM get submitted. I would pick JDM, you know, to make this a decision. I don't know if it was a finish. If it was a finish, it would definitely be later rounds. I'm sure Amosov would take a round or two. No. He would take a round off of JDM, and JDM would make it to the bell. Amosov, super bloodied up. I can just see this image in my mind of him just making it to the bell, super bloodied up, and JDM wins a 29-28 decision, right? That's what I see going on in this fight. For the JDM Buckley fight, this would be a striker versus striker matchup. And when it comes to this striker-striker matchups, no one, outside of like 1 or 2 guys I'm going to talk about later, has a chance to do JDM near as bad as Prades did him, right? Buckley's definitely not going to be one of these guys. He's very explosive, yes. He loves to fight behind kicks. You know, this is looking good so far for Buckley. There's a chance, you know, a high kick could get through, maybe. There's always that chance, you know, that Leon Edwards fluke chance. But his blitzes, whether they be with his kicks, whether they be with his punches, would be really easy work for JDM to counter, in my opinion. He has really good head movement. JDM has really good footwork. And there's a really high chance that in the later rounds, we've seen Buckley get fatigued. We see with these, like, quick twitch athletes, Conor McGregor, what's his name? You know, Conor McGregor, we've seen, what's another good example? Like, Michel Pereira, guys that are really explosive in the earlier rounds. We've seen them, you know, obviously fatigue. And I think JDM, his body work, this would be a stand-up fight. He has a really good chin on him, right? People don't talk about that. He's chinning to the legs, but he's not chinning to the actual chin. I think he'd make it into the later rounds, and the body work would start to add up, and Buckley would eventually end up getting melted up against the fence. Like I said, these styles make fights. JDM would go to the body against Buckley, and we haven't seen Buckley really take that much damage to the body. But the fact that we've seen him get so fatigued in matchups that are wrestle heavy, matchups that are this and that, JDM could mix it up on Buckley if he wanted to, but I don't think you would need to. All right, I think his strikes, head strikes, body strikes, that would be more than enough to beat Buckley. Like round 3 TKO, alright? JDM versus Malteser head Usman. Now, these days, every time I talk about Usman, I say the same thing, man. He's just too old. I'd pick Belal to beat Usman right now. And I know Belal is probably the same age as Usman, but I just can't get this image. Like, look at him. Look at Kamaru Usman and tell me he doesn't look like he's fucking washed up. This guy, in his prime for prime, I think he takes this, right? But, right now, bro, I don't think he's someone that can hold JDM down. Belal couldn't hold him down. Gilbert Burns couldn't smudge him all the way. Usman, at this age, pushing 40 Usman, I'd pick Jack to win by 29-28 decision. I think, honestly, Usman would take the first round. I could see Usman getting in there, you know, like 1-2 double leg, 1-2 double leg, a little bit of a spam there. But then JDM would get up. This would turn into like a Hamza Usman scrap in the later rounds. And JDM is just too clean. We saw JDM in a scrap with a wrestler in Belal. We saw how that turned out. He gets the better of these guys, even if he's bloodied up. Even if he looks like his fucking face is swollen, his lips falling off, I would pick JDM by 29-28 decision. I don't think that's a controversial take. I don't know why fucking Kamaru Usman is pushing for a title. I mean, I know why, but this fucking guy pushing for a title shot is crazy. Because he wouldn't even get past JDM. He wouldn't get past Belal if they fought. He would get slimed by Ian Garry. Like, let's be for real, alright? Next fighter. JDM versus Leon Edwards. Now, I would love for this to be the fight that JDM comes back to, right? Pure striking, JDM wins the shit every time. Yes, Edwards has mixed it up. You know, he mixed it up on Protest first round, won the first round like that. He's mixed it up on Usman. I think he shot a takedown on Colby. Like, Edwards is able to mix it up. He is a better, maybe, like, he does have better wrestling, offensive wrestling than JDM. But it's going to be a striking matchup, and Leon has no finishing ability, bro. Even if he had power in his hands, the way he fights is so infuriating. This guy does not pull the trigger. This fucking guy he has all the technical ability, just doesn't go for it every time. Pisses me off. Pissed me off in the Colby fight. This guy was talking crazy shit about your dad, and you won't even fucking leg kick him with 80% power, alright? I'd pick JDM by finish, honestly. Maybe a decision. I don't know if I'd pick. I feel like this a striking match, especially in the boxing range, because JDM would get on the inside of the kicks. At this point, he's probably going to be able to counter whatever the leg kicks that have been fucking him over. He'd be able to get on the inside, start piecing up Edwards, and I would pick this to be a 30-27 decision for JDM, alright? JDM versus Sean Brady. Now, if this was up to me, this would be the next matchup for both of these guys. It's a scary fight, but I don't think that Brady would be able to overwhelm JDM the way he did to Buckley, the way he did to Leon Edwards. We've seen in other fights for these guys, in Leon Edwards' other fights, in Buckley's, Buckley's fight with Usman, Leon Edwards in the first Usman fight as well. We saw that these guys, sometimes when they get taken down, they get on the ground, they accept bottom position. JDM is notorious for getting his ass up, right? Yes, he couldn't get up against fucking Islam, but that's fucking Islam Makhachev, bruh. Like, that's what I'm talking about in this video. This guy literally fought Islam fucking Makhachev and Carlos Protest back to fucking back. Yes, he's gonna get cooked, bro. Like, yes, he's gonna look like ass. He's not gonna get held down against Brady. He's not gonna get held down against Usman. He couldn't get held down by Belal. Let's be honest, alright? JDM versus Brady, I would pick this probably by late KO. We've seen Brady get finished by Morales. We've seen Brady get finished by fucking Belal. That's embarrassing, right? I just think it would be a similar thing to the Burns fight. He'd get taken down. Of course, JDM is going to get taken down in his fights. But he'd get up, and over time, the body work would start piling up, like what I said in the Buckley fight. The fence work would start piling up. I'm sure they'd get into some clinches. JDM would be firing some knees in the clinch. I could see, honestly, a late TKO, similar to the Burns fight. And that wouldn't be crazy to say. We've seen that Brady is chinning to the body, right? We've seen him get chinned. We've seen him get hurt to the body. I would not, I wouldn't pick Brady to get a submission off. I wouldn't pick Brady to smudge JDM all the way. I could see JDM getting like a TKO being down the scorecards, alright? Next fight, JDM versus Belal 2. We saw the first fight. Belal's just way more out of his prime. JDM by finish, bruh. fuck it. Like, yes, Belal is hard to finish, but at this point, they would have had, they had 25 minutes in the first time. If this is a third round, 3-rounder, JDM would have 40 minutes to figure out how to finish Belal. And Belal would have 15 minutes to realize, yeah, nothing has changed. I can't take JDM down anyways. JDM by finish, bro. Fuck it. JDM versus Morales. Now, this is terrifying. Now, this is a handsome, brown, Ecuadorian man against JDM. This is actually a little bit scary, right? This is the fight I was talking about earlier when I said, who did I say against? Brady? Or, yeah, I was talking about someone like that was actually scaring me. Probably, Brady is the most competitive fight for JDM, but this is the fight I'd be most terrified that he would get knocked out in. I think it's not crazy to say that JDM would be winning this fight on points. If this fight goes to decision, this would be a JDM fight for sure. He's cleaner, he's higher output, he has more volume. The only thing he's lacking is the power in the face of Morales, right? I would pick JDM by 29-28 decision, but if there's a finish in this fight, it's JDM getting finished. And I don't think it would be a leg kick TKO. Morales isn't really that big of a kicker, which is weird because he has long ass fucking legs, right? He'd be able to kick the shit out of JDM. I think this would be a boxing fight, and I'd pick JDM in a boxing fight. However, as I said, if there's a finish, it's JDM getting chinned, and that would be fucking tragic, alright? But JDM versus Morales, give me JDM by 29-28 decision. This is a fight that's definitely going to make it to the scorecards if JDM locks in, alright? If this guy doesn't get caught by no bullshit, it's making it to a decision, alright? JDM versus Ian, the final match of the video. Lord. I don't know if I'd be as scared in this fight. Like, I feel like this fight wouldn't be... Like, it's on the same level of competitiveness as Sean Brady. We need to put some respect on Ian Garry's name, alright? The dude is super well-rounded, but we've seen him get outboxed by Shavkat. We've seen him get mixed up in the clinch by Shavkat, again, the GOAT. We've seen him get rocked in the later rounds against Protes. Of course, I know JDM doesn't have that kind of power to rock Ian Garry that way. The counter argument, of course, to JDM winning this fight is that Garry is super well-rounded. He'd be able to do to JDM what Protes did, what Islam did. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's nearly strong enough to compare to Islam. I don't think he has a submission threat of Islam. No way. Like, when's the last time this guy got a fucking submission in the UFC? He doesn't have enough power to match Carlos Protes. This would be a fight. It would end up having to be a dogfight. Ian Garry probably taking the first 2 rounds, moving on, like, assuming this is a 5-rounder, moving on the outside, you know, leg kicking at range, jabbing at range. But I believe JDM would be able to get on the inside, get his punches going. And like I said, like every time I talk about, I make one of these videos, which is how does this guy match up to the rest of the division, I always feel like I'm repeating myself. But he'd be able to get in. Ian Garry does the, you know, he's 6'3", super tall, super lanky. He does the lean back thing. I think he'd be able to get in, get extended combinations, pin Ian Garry against the fence, and win the last 3 rounds. It would be a really bloody decision. Maybe JDM would look worse. Like, he looked like he'd be wearing more damage at the end of the fight. But on the scorecards, I would pick JDM. Either 29-28, right, if it's a 3-rounder, or 48-47. Take your pick. 3-round, 5-rounder. I think JDM wins both. JDM would win a damage decision, even though he would probably wear more damage. I think he just has more scar tissue on him. But yeah, I think JDM would do way more damage, alright? Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think about JDM in the welterweight division? How does he do against all these other contenders? Am I tripping? Am I glazing? I personally don't... Like, I'm genuinely not the biggest fan of JDM. I do this video, I feel like, as a public service announcement. Because I feel like we need to put some respect on this guy's name. We need to, like, really see that this guy's style is one of the best in the division against the guys that are in the division right now. How do you guys think he does against Shavkat Rakhmonov, alright? That's my GOAT right there. I didn't include him in this video. I really wanted to, but I cannot push the agenda, bro. I can't keep pushing this agenda until we see some news that Shavkat's going to come back, alright? Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go apply some sunscreen, alright? Ciao.